This week on the OneCast, we're joined by Ben, who's down in Orlando for Icast. We're going to talk about what's coming out in 2024 and maybe talk a little fishing.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's going to be a bad day.
You would think
we're professionals.
Welcome back to the OneCast, everyone. We are split operations right now. Ben is down in Icast representing our podcast. He's at Icast.
Inside Icast.
He's in Orlando at Icast 2024, getting ready to give us a breakdown. But before he does that, show some support to those who support us. Head on over to OneCastFishing.com, use the code TheOneCast, and pick up all those lines of snagless jigs, weedless net heads, soft plastics, apparel, everything that you're looking for, especially in the dog days of summer. You're going to want to pick up some of those football head jigs. Show him some love so we can continue supporting the show and bring you guys amazing content.
Yep, when you're done there, you can head over to CarolinaWatersNC.com, use the code TheOneCast, all one word. When you check out, that'll save you 20%. You can get your UPF gear, hats, your casual wear. I got a hat on. Trey doesn't have anything. Trey and I are wearing the same shirts, supporting our boy Matty Wong, and it was totally not planned. I just showed up, and we sat and talked for about 10 minutes before we realized. So head to CarolinaWatersNC.com. Use the code TheOneCast at checkout. Save 20%. Make sure you keep your body protected during the dog days of summer. It's hot. It is sunny. And that UPF gear will help make sure you're not one of those guys at the ramp talking about your 37th run-in with skin cancer.
That's right, and you don't want to get skin cancer in your eyes. So, is that possible?
I think it would be eye cancer.
Eye cancer, that's a real thing. I don't know, but regardless, you're not going to get that unless you have your protected Hobie eyewear, right? So I'm looking a little stylish here. These are the floating frame series. They got a ton of different sunglasses for you guys, from casual wear to prescription sunglasses. Ben's rocking his right now down there at Icast in Orlando. Head on over to Hobie Eyewear. Use the link in the description. You guys are going to save 15% on your order. I promise you don't want to miss out on these awesome, already great price sunglasses, and you're going to save a heck of a lot more money using our link.
Yes, sir. And the new frame just dropped in the floating lineup.
That's right.
So there's a new frame style. So make sure you check that out if you're ready to get you some new glasses. So what's good, Ben?
I put my hands on those new frames yesterday when I was over at the Hobie booth. It was great to link with Dylan again, but also met Steven, who was on the show with us, if you remember, awesome. When we had the Hobie folks on. So it was good to get over there, look at the new products, and they've got some great stuff. Also, they've got that huge on the water day, so day one. I'll talk about all Icast. Had that big floating duck out there, and the night before a storm rolled through, and they showed up Tuesday morning, and that duck was bent over like halfway across the pond. I think somewhat maybe deflated, so that they had to get on a boat, little kayak, get out there, re-anchor it, and make sure it was good to go before everything kicked off 10 o'clock on Tuesday. So, so I'm sure that was fun for them scrambling last minute there, but yeah, good stuff over there. And Icast has been fun. We'll talk about it here in a minute. But I've been on the road a lot the last couple of weeks. So what's going on up there? You guys been on the water? How's the fishing in July?
It's summer.
Yeah.
I mean, we went out Sunday, ran the boats a little bit on old Sharon Harris, and caught some fish, had fun. We actually caught some really good fish on Sunday. I don't think we really didn't catch any dankers. I caught all mine cranking. I think you caught all yours cranking too. Oh no, you caught a couple on a free rig. Yeah. So it was a good time. But it's summer. It's hot. You can catch them doing the summertime stuff, dragging a jig, crankbait, all that good stuff.
I feel like we've been really fortunate this year. We shared boats in the tournament season for the Fishers of Men, and finally they're coming to a point where they're all breaking. So they're all breaking during the non-tournament season. So, Pete was out there testing out his trim, which had to be fixed again. and I was out there and noticed that I had a broken cable, which didn't allow me to view any 2D, any temperature, or anything at the front of the boat. So it's a great time for things to break. I know it sucks replacing them, but I'd much rather have it happen out on the water, just fun fishing. So we got those boats back to the house after we caught all those fish, and I think Pete's got his trim squared away, and hopefully I'm waiting on a cable to come, which should be here Saturday, and we'll get those taken care of.
We probably should have went to Falls on Sunday instead of Harris, because Falls Lake PBC, you've heard us talk about PBC. Our buddy Doug runs that trail. It took 31 and some change in middle of July to win on Falls Lake. That's ridiculous weight. 31 pounds.
You expect 30 like February, March, April on Falls, maybe into June, depending on when they first get out offshore. But mid to late July, it's getting
it was unbelievable. Half the field was in the 16s, and then it fell off pretty quick once you got to a point. But there was a ton of 16, 17, 18-pound bags, and then 31 won. I think like 26 or 25 was second, and 23 was third. So the top 5 were all 20-plus pound bag. Like, middle of July. It was 147 million degrees on Saturday.
Are the lakes still low there? Are they still?
They are. Yeah. Jordan's like 2.5 down. Then we got all this for those of you, if you're listening. Again, we're going to get into Icast. If you don't know what Icast is, we'll talk about exactly what it is and then what's going on down there. But there was that big fire in Virginia at a chemical storage plant, and that has run into the Roanoke and Meharron rivers. So it's making its way down the river. They're now monitoring water quality at Gaston. So it's about to Gaston. They don't know what's going to happen when it hits Gaston. But there's been fish kills in the rivers, just general water quality issues. So if you plan on fishing in Virginia below, wherever that is, I'm sure you've heard about it. But if you're going to the Roanoke or Meharron River, check your local authorities. They're tracking that. There's a lot of do not use the waterway going on, just because it's not safe for you to use it. First of all, it irritate your skin. I think there was fertilizer, some other sort of household chemical type things in there, but it's in Gaston now, so it'll go Gaston to Roanoke Rapids and then out the Roanoke to the Sound if it doesn't disperse. I have a feeling it'll end at Gaston. It'll probably get, filtered through there. I don't think it'll make it all the way down the river system, but so that happened. I don't know if you saw that, Ben, but that was some other local kind of impactful news.
Probably a really, really, really poor time of the season for that to happen too. In the dog days of summer, when the water molecules are spread out so thin and the fish are already struggling for oxygen.
Not only that, with the lack of rain and everything down there, like there's a lack of flow. Good flow to help dilute a lot of that stuff. So
hopefully that'll change. We're getting pounded with rain the next 4 days. So hopefully we had to actually cancel a trip to the Roanoke this weekend. My nephew was going to come down, but they were calling for bad storms all weekend. And so we had to make a call to not do that, because there's nowhere to hide on the Roanoke River if you get caught out there. And I didn't feel like being nut to butt with Trey and my 22-year-old nephew in the bottom of a boat in the lightning storm. So we made the call to not go. And so gonna hang tight, probably do some boat maintenance. We're getting ready to do the house thing. So that's
big news. We didn't talk about that yet either. And so we have to give a huge congratulations to Pete and Chelsea. They are closing on their brand new house here, now permanent residents of the great Tar Heel State. North Carolina is taking care of business, isn't it?
North Carolina is taking care of business. So exciting. We're finally going to lock it down.
We're going to be neighbors practically.
Yeah. I'm kind of right between Ben and Trey, but I'll be closer to Ben. I'm not going to be far at all from Ben.
Hey, Ben, guess what the first thing that Pete said he's going to buy for his new house is? He said, I'm going straight to whatever store and buying pegboard for the walls and hanging all my tackle up in the garage.
That's the very first thing. As soon as they give me the keys, I'm going straight to Lowe's and I'm buying pegboard.
Do you need a bunch of old of the pegboard little racks, pens? Because I believe I have a crap ton of them still from my old trade show booth that I don't use anymore.
Yep, I'll take them.
Yeah, I'll take some too.
But
congratulations,
thank you,
Chelsea. Pete.
Chelsea's here listening in, doing some. I think she's designing our living room right now because we're gonna get some new furniture and stuff. So she's doing some handiwork on the computer there while we record. But yeah, let's talk Icast. So if you don't know, I know we got a lot of listeners that are fairly new into fishing and bass fishing in the whole world. Icast is a industry only show. It's not open to the public. So it's for vendors, both, your stores, your sales stores, your media, and then your product suppliers, your manufacturers. So it gives you a chance. The manufacturers go set up booths, buyers go down there, look at all the new stuff, all the old stuff, do their orders. Some friends we know at big companies. I know one particular bait company that I know pretty well. He says they do about 90 to 95% of their sales for the year at Icast. So it's a big industry event where, again, and I'm not saying anything negative, we love going to shows and seeing people, but it's a chance for the people in the industry to get together and just talk business, where you don't have to interact with customers. You're not trying to sell products to customers or explain that. You are trying to sell your product to vendors who are going to sell your product, but it's just a little bit more business than pleasure, because the regular trade shows are a ton of fun. Like when you're there selling and get to talk to the folks, to all your fans or your customers, it's a ton of fun to do that. But it's nice to have an event where you can just go, us as media, we can get a chance to talk to, manufacturers. We get to connect with anglers. We got some new shows lined up. We've got a new sponsor coming. We're super excited to announce here in about a month. I think they're going to start around September timeframe. So some really cool stuff with that. That's I'll give you a little hints, going to help you break down bodies of water and conditions a lot faster. So super excited to bring that to you. We've been using it now for a little bit. Trey and I broke it out last weekend and messed with it. So looking forward to bringing that to you. But it's our chance to, what's the best way? Like the fishing family get together and mingle and talk business. So
yeah, the best way to put it is there's a lot of hype a lot of times out of Icast. We see a lot of media out of Icast, especially in in years previous. And maybe we can talk about why some of the feedback is why people don't feel so excited this year, maybe perhaps about it. But a lot of media, a lot of products are released and all. But what the show really is a B2B show. It's a business to business show, and not a consumer facing trade show. So that's why it's not open to the general public. No one is selling like individual products. It's all bulk deals. And then with that, it's sponsored and ran by the ASA, which is the American Sport Fishing Association. Thanks. A long day. And they do a lot of great work lobbying on behalf of the fishing industry with things with taxes, with conservation, both freshwater, saltwater. Sometimes it's hard to put a dollar figure how much that is. Like, for instance, ASA, if they're out trying to prevent states from banning lead tackle, how important that is to the American lure manufacturer for 80%, 90% of jig, lead-based businesses. So they do a lot of good in that regards. So that's what the show is really about. And as Pete said, it's a great for us to go down there to talk business. So for instance, the last couple of days, I've been walking in circles all over the trade show floor a couple of days, and I've been able to, talk to folks about the podcast, about us, line up some new guests in the future, which is going to be very exciting for everyone listening. Hopefully over the next couple of months, and then of course on the lure side, able to just do a lot of business with vendors and suppliers and that sort of stuff. So that's what it's really about. And this year, if I think many of you talked about 2 years ago, OneCast Fishing was down there with a booth for the trade show booth, and this year is different because I was able to go down as media. And Trey and Pete will be down here next year. But it's awesome because you're not locked down in one place. They got a little press area you can go to, and you just get a lot more time to talk to folks. And so it's been a great experience so far, seeing everybody that we only get to see maybe once or twice a year.
I'm really looking forward to that trip down there next year with the three of us. We're going to have a camera person, aka my wife, to get some video and audio. Hopefully we'll be able to bring you some cool content. But every time I've gone, it's been, with somebody. So I've been with Cashin a few times, went down there with Cashin and you, been with some other companies. And when you're there, you're still there working, right? Like you have stores coming up. You get to catch up with your friends, but it's not the same. So going down as media is going to be a really cool experience to be able to walk around, talk to folks, hopefully see a bunch of new exciting stuff.
And what was really cool, because last time we were exhibitors, so we weren't allowed to go to the new product showcase. So on Tuesday night after the on the water, and I guess so the way Icast is broken down is that day one, if you want to call it day one, maybe it's day zero if you want to put in military terms, but it's on the water, so it's only in 4 hours. The vendors, the companies out there that choose to go out on the water to demonstrate their products. They've got ponds out there. You can go fish, try their products out, try kayaks. So Cashin was out there. Who else was out there? I mean, pretty much most of
I know Missile was out there. Hobie.
Yeah, Missile was out there. Hobie was out there. Yak Attack was out there. So a bunch of companies were out there demonstrating their products, and you were able to go cast. And I don't know how many fish were actually caught because it gets so hot out there. But that's kind of day one. And then day two is when the show really begins inside the convention center. And then so last night, so the end of day one is when they had the new product showcase. And so I was able to go in there with all the other media and buyers and just walk through and vote for the winners of the new products.
So answer this question. You talked about going down there in 2022 as an exhibitor, but regardless, what was so we got the initial baseline impression in 2022, what Icast was all about. That was mine and Ben's first time. You went before. What was your initial impression walking in this year versus 2022?
The hype wasn't the same this year, to me. And some of that is a function, right? When we went down 2 years ago, Trey, like that was our first time and we didn't really know what to expect. We were there as an exhibitor. But that was the first year back after COVID as well.
Yeah.
They didn't have any. They didn't. I don't think. Did they have it in 2021?
Yeah, we were there the year before. Yep,
okay.
That was the first year back. Yep.
So it was the second year back, but it was still.
It
still didn't have any of the international vendors. It was still relatively small in that regard, and people were willing to get back. There was a lot of, I would say, like social media influencers running around, especially with TikTok, because TikTok had taken off at that time. And then this year, the show's bigger because you have all the international vendors here.
I was going to ask, are they back? Yeah.
Yep. So you have the Chinese manufacturers, you have the Korean manufacturers, some Japanese manufacturers, like OEM stuff, as well as the companies as well. And so the year when we went, I don't think Shimano went at all in 2022, but Shimano was back this year. Dia was there. So you've got all those brands. So it's a much bigger show. But I think this year, and then also talking to folks, there's just not a lot of new products out right now. And there is some financial issues going across the industry. And so it's just I think it's just kind of muted in that regard. Not so much excitement from like the hype media, consumer facing side. So
yeah, I think some of the lack of that new product is the economy and the way it is right now. When economy gets tight, the first thing that's going to get cut is R&D and kind of those new projects where you're investing a lot of capital. You just want to kind of solidify your lineup and make it through the storm, right? Smart business, not dump a bunch of money into new stuff. So I have a feeling if the economy recovers, like some predictions are showing, that next year is going to be hyped up again. We're going to get to see some cool stuff, new releases. But not that there isn't new stuff, but it's stuff we've seen. So like Berkeley, I think won hard bait with the Credge, which we've seen for 6 months or so now. I think it came out right before the Classic, somewhere right around the Classic. You saw that one come out. I'm just going to pull up the winners real quick. We'll talk about
as you pull it up here, that's the other thing, that the products that we've seen, a lot of the new products, especially from the larger brands, we've seen a lot of them. I think there were actually a lot of them are released the Classic this year instead of Icast.
So good.
And what we're seeing is a lot of companies are introducing products that are similar to other companies because they're very successful. And we talked about it a little bit before. When there's a wave of innovation, and we see this, I think, in all industries, but in the fishing industry, like there's just periods of 3 to 4 years. There's a lot of innovation, a lot of changes. You can think back to like a lot of it's around technology, but when side imaging first came out, even things like the chatterbait, Z-Man only had it for a few years, and then everyone else was trying to figure out a way to get around the rules.
Patent.
And make something similar. And so and then 2 or 3 years ago, the mag draft, and then became very popular, and then we started seeing some other companies produce similar things. And so I think this kind of the trend you see a new innovative product, and then maybe another company will jump onto that. And like when you have two companies doing one or two companies, like there's still a lot of hype and media, but when you get to the point where every company has something very similar, it's like, okay, well, it's another one of these, but I love this company, I love this product, so let me give it a shot. So I think that's some of the issues too. But did you get them pulled up, Pete?
Yeah, I was saying there's a push for big bait. So you see a lot of big baits. You see the Shadtron, which was the freshwater soft lure Z-Man, a large swim bait similar to. Actually, it's nothing like if you know swim baits, it's nothing like a mag draft or anything that's out there, unless you know what a HUD is. It's a lot like a HUD. It's a line through single top hook bait. Looks really good, but you see that a large bait. I think there was another the saltwater hard bait was a multi-piece big swim bait. So you're still seeing that trend kind of with the big swim baits. I know Strike King came out with a mag draft. I shouldn't say that. It's not a knockoff, even though they called it the final copy, which I thought was really, really creative because everybody last year was so mad about copies of the mag draft. So Strike King waited a year and called it the final copy, which cracked me up when I saw it. Ugly Stick one. I don't know how much they've put into changing theirs. It's still a super tough rod. If that's your thing. You see a lot of rehash, right? So like freshwater reel was the Shimano Vanford. The Vanford's been around forever. Probably one of the best, if not the best spinning reel that's ever been made. They rehashed that, changed some stuff in it. Again, the Kredge one hard lure, which we've seen already. I'm not going to talk about fly fishing stuff just because it's not what we do a bunch on here. I do like fly fishing.
I'm going to be tying some flies here soon.
So that is something different than I didn't experience 2 years ago, is that a lot of fly fishing stuff, basically a whole fly fishing section, and they have a fly casting area where you can learn how to cast a fly and stuff. Maybe I should go do that because I've never actually done that.
So I got the 2022 Icast.
Well, we can go back, but let me talk through 2024 first so we don't get confused.
Well, what I'm going to say, if you let me finish, is you can compare and contrast, right? So if you look at, you say this is what won in 2024 and this, I'd be like, well, it's really not.
You should pull up 2023.
Like, well, yeah, I mean, we were there in 2022.
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing. Yeah. But yeah, it's not going to be at the, so rod. Let's look what won hard bait in 22.
So hard bait in 22. Let's look that up. So that was the Berkeley slobber knocker.
Yeah, we know how well that worked.
And that was going to be my question later on after we go through these to Ben and maybe to the group is what had a catastrophic success and what had a catastrophic failure, right?
Almost everything you see win at Icast doesn't always work out.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything that's really taken off. The fishing line, I did see it. And Ben, you can confirm. It seems like everybody came out with a finesse braid. And then pretty much every hook manufacturer came out with a tungsten small round head for the jig head minnow technique.
Correct.
Right? Like,
and VMC, their terminal tackle, their tungsten swim bait jig head, it's a tungsten round ball jig with a little bait keeper on the hook.
Yeah.
That was the winner for the terminal tackle category.
I was just going to say that one won that.
And I'm not going to lie, that thing looks pretty awesome, dude.
But I think 2022 when we went, it was just the terminal tackle was just like a saltwater jig head.
Yeah, so 2022, the terminal tackle winner was Z-Man's Diesel Eye jig head.
Yep. It's a good jig head, too. It's got a nice stout hook. I've whacked a bunch of fish on it. Tackle management, that BKK OCD tackle storage system won this year. I'm actually really excited about that. I'm a fan of the Plano Edge stuff, but this looks like a really, really solid hook management. My hook management right now is just grab a bunch of hooks and throw them in the center rod locker and then go through them when I need them.
Mine's absolute trash.
Yeah, I have no organization when it comes to my hooks, and it's a disaster because then I spend an hour trying to find what I'm looking for.
Yeah, honestly, as Pete was saying, I think that tackle management is probably the most impressive thing I've seen on this list so far.
Yeah. What was I think the Frog Box won in 22, didn't it? The Plano Edge.
Yep. The Plano Edge Frog Box won 22.
I saw a new Plano Edge product, and I asked because I hadn't seen it before, and I've got a bunch of the Plano jig boxes. In fact, we're giving one away here at the end of the month.
That's right. If you didn't get entered, you better.
So, as I mentioned, it's a good plug. If you have not, this is your last opportunity. What do you have? 1 week left by the time when this airs?
Yeah, you got a week
to go review our podcast. Send us a screenshot of your review on Spotify, Apple, whichever platform. DM it to us, and you'll be in into the giveaway, which includes an entire Plano jig box full of jigs. But with the jig box, I didn't realize they had a hook and a shaky head box.
I knew they had a hook box. I didn't know they had a shaky head one. Huh?
Well, they had shaky heads in that little hook box. It's set up where they kind of like the jig box in a way. But I was like, how long is that new? Like, how long? It's like, no, it's been out 2 years. I was like, oh, well.
Yeah, I've seen the hook one. I didn't even think to use it for shaky heads. No, I have to buy one.
Yeah, I was like, well,
my shaky heads are a disaster too.
Chelsea's like house.
Well, I need that for the house for organization.
So 2024, so far, Pete's covered the what'd you cover? Tackle storage, terminal tackle.
Yeah, looks like the electronics was a drone, a floating drone.
So I voted for the drone because the other options there was like a big saltwater live transducer up to 1,000 feet, a big massive thing. But I mean, it's live scope for saltwater. I don't think it's that big a deal. But the drone, what I thought was pretty cool about it, when I was talking about the price point, it's like only like $2,700. Sounds expensive, but for a drone,
$2,299.
$2,299. It floats, which is extremely important if you want to fly over water. You can actually drop lures or drop stuff. They advertise it as dropping flies. But you can drop lures, and they can also sit on the water, and that camera can be in the water, and you can see underwater. So
yeah, this description is pretty crazy. I'm going to read it real quick.
Yeah, read it.
So I think it's called the X piece. We're going to say X piece.
Is it Specie?
Might be Specie. XPECE Fishing Drone Technologies introducing the XPECE-1, a waterproof fishing drone that can fly in the air, float on water, and see underwater while navigating on the surface. This HD camera sends live video to the waterproof remote control, so you can drop up to 8 pounds of bait up to a mile out. The XPECE-1 is the first drone ever equipped with bite sense, which allows you to troll bait and automatically release it when a fish bites. It retails for $22.99 and will ship this summer. So that's pretty innovative. Like.
I'm just thinking of all the fails that are going to happen.
Oh, there's going to be some great when the bite sense doesn't work and your drone gets dragged down in the water.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great concept. And I actually want to get one for us. I think it would be really cool, not to drop bait in the water, but just to fly around.
I want to take a crankbait a mile and just drop that joker and just work the whole lake.
So now that
whole new definition of long lining crankbait.
I was just gonna say, like, now we're not worried about forward facing sonar. Now we're talking long lining a freaking bait out there 500 yards.
You get one of those massive 200 size reels and your crankbait reels, and you just pick that plug up and go all the way up the point, like 150 yards until you run out of line and just crank that thing back.
Maybe this is the effect of forward-facing sonar now that the fish are getting so skittish to getting pinged. You're going to have to drone your bait all the way out to them so they don't spook anymore because you got an LVS, what is it, 63 or 62 on your boat seeing out there? Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I just want to be out there and call it drone. Oh, yeah. You call it drone strike in. Have Trey fly one in and just drop something on them.
Hey, I've got some great content ideas for that.
Oh yeah.
So how does that work? You kind of walk through the show real quick, and I know we're still running down this list, but you said you got the opportunity to vote. How does the voting work for those who attend Icast?
Yeah. So at the new product reception showcase, everyone meets over there. It's for media, editorial, and then for also buyers. So where that's wholesale distributed buyers, retail buyers. But you have the opportunity to go in and vote. So basically they give you a card and they've got everything set up. All the baits are on display and you can open up and touch them. They've got tables, everything lined up. And all the products are separated by category. And then each product has that description that basically Pete just read was the description they had there for the drone. And then typically the price, if the price is listed on their information. And then it's got codes. And so with your little ballot, you just you write the numbers you want for that category, and then you drop it in a drop box. And after that, who knows how things are tabulated and how ballots are stuffed or rigged. Elections are rigged. I don't know, but who knows about the votes? But a vote happens, and then we hear the results.
Yeah, I mean that was going to be my other question. You may not know the inside baseball, but do you feel like the voting is pretty honest on those products, or what's your assessment?
No way, and everyone knows it. Everyone knows what it is. I mean, look, you've got a lot of companies here that pay a lot of money to be here, both on booths or sponsorships, and like the ASA takes that and they put that money against a lot of the things we talked about in the beginning, conservation, lobbying, stuff, good stuff for the industry. And so people who bring, companies that, sponsor the event or bring a lot of people, maybe things are weighted in our favor.
Yeah, I know that's really an honest question too. And that's not to stir the pot with any vendors or distributors or any companies like that. But when we were down there in 2022, and it's not because we were affiliated with OneCast Fishing, but I thought the snagless jig was a really cool concept and something that hasn't really hit the product floor for the general public. I mean, maybe people back in the day created a one-off here and there, but it was pretty original from my opinion. But of course, the chatterbait, the slobber knocker one, the hard bait deal. And we kind of all scratched our heads at that one. It was like, holy crap, like there's some really cool, innovative baits here. How does the voting system work? But regardless of the fact, it's still an opportunity for those companies to get their name out there.
And look, I think that's what I think I understand that. It's still a great example that if you're launching new products, I mean, like, look, I went in there and like, I know the companies I support and I like, and may have voted for some of those companies because I really like their product. So I'll say it, the cash and rod, the forward facing sonar rod, right? That's the freshwater rod I voted for because I love Cashin's products. And so like you'll also see things like there was some unique stuff that didn't win that I thought was really, really cool, especially in the accessory portion. That I was like, oh, that's actually really cool. I took a picture of some stuff. I was like, I might need some of that or pass that on or want to mention that because it's a little bit outside the box. What
were some of those things that you just vaguely mentioned?
Yeah, so like one of them here, and maybe I'll send these pictures over. Look it up. So what the category was here is fishing accessories, and it's called the side sling. And I hadn't really seen it before, but basically, if you think about it, it's basically like kind of like a big pool noodle that's got a sling on it, but it's got slots cut in it, so you can put like 4 rods in it to carry at one time. So if you're pond hopping, surf fishing, you can sling 4 rods basically on your shoulder and be able to walk around, not have to have them all in your hand, and just be a little bit easier. So I mean, maybe there's something else like that in the market, but I didn't see anything like that. I was like, well, that actually solves a problem for somebody. It solves a solution. There's a cooler pack that I sent, soft and hard cooler pack. It's called the cooler pack trademark, but basically it's a reusable cooler pack. You fill it up with water, you freeze it, but you can snap it in. It has another component where you can snap it in a cooler or live well, is what I thought. But like, okay, where you can take it in and out as needed.
Yeah.
And it's super reusable. So I was like, that's an interesting product. So those were two of the new ones. And then the other new product that I really liked was the Casking capsule. And so they want to solve the problem. You go in your rod locker, and it doesn't matter how nice you put them in there, your baits are going to get caught on each other, especially if a lot of treble hooks and all. And so they have created basically it's a little bitty plastic box, see-through plastic box that fits around your bait when it's rigged on the rod. And there is a hole that your line goes through. And so it's already rigged, and the bottom of that little plastic box that your bait is now protected in is a little J hook where you can hook it on your line tie or on your reel, or however you want to secure. You usually secure your bait. You can just hook it on there. So, super convenient to put on and off. A little bit bulky, but it does solve that problem. And they don't have it right now, but come in October, they're making a little longer one that can be used for a drop shot, where there's actually a hole on the bottom side, so your weight can also be rigged as well already. So I thought that was pretty cool.
It doesn't matter what you do with the drop shot.
Pete was just about to say it, and you can still say it if you want.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do with the drop shot. It ends up wrapped around everything ever.
Matter.
It always comes off of your line, and even like Cashin's drop shot rod has the dual thing, so you can slide your weight up there and wedge it. It doesn't matter when you're running down the lake. That joker comes out of there, and it's wrapped around 3,072 rods. It's tied itself in a knot like you've never seen before. The only time I've ever seen Trey lose his cool in the water and get very upset, there's always a drop shot.
It's a drop shot
every single time.
100,000%.
Every single time.
Yep.
So that would be, especially in the rod locker, you can manage it. And I learned a trick from Bob Downey with a hair tie that I want to do a video on that, and his never caused an issue that day. And I was like, I need to do that. But in the rod locker, especially if you try to have a couple rigged up, they always seem to, you open it up and that thing's like all intertwined in there. And
Pete's right. Like the most colorful and foul language I'll ever use is when a drop shot becomes like Medusa's hair all over the boat and just starts like snaking its way through, and you don't even know how it happens, right? Like it goes through like another eyelet or a guide, and you're like, how is that physically possible? And then things start happening with my mouth, and I just start saying like really mean things. So, but regardless, I think those other two products that you talked about kind of nest within the poll that we did on our community page, where people wanted to talk about bank fishing. And then we did an episode on live well management. You talked about that snap and cooler. So that bank fishing stuff, we're going to have somebody come on and talk about bank fishing because, honestly, we don't do a whole lot of it unless it's like a pond on the property. But that's a really cool concept. And I think that's also neat because so many people get wrapped around like tournament bass fishing in the industry, but the industry is so much bigger than that, right? Bank fishing, coolers, apparel, all sorts of other stuff. And it looks like they got some pretty cool products that have came out this year. We only had the winners pulled up, but there was a heck of a lot more that were on that list, right?
Yeah. And so that was what was cool to be able to go through the showcase and see all that. But again, like the accessories and stuff was what kind of I gravitated to, because there was some different stuff that you could see. I will say with baits, I know the freshwater lure, a Z-Man one with the little shrimp thing. But
the saltwater one.
Yeah, the one I really liked was the missile baits, because they came out with a mini D-bomb.
Oh yeah.
And so, if I throw a lot of weedless Neds. And of course, I use the Sidewinder a lot, but sometimes you want a different profile and all. And I really like that mini D-bomb profile. I mean, it looks like a D-bomb, but it's a lot smaller. But to me, it's very similar to, I think, the baby goat that Z-Man had that I used to use a lot for my little weedless Neds. And so I really like that. And this blue magic color it's really nice.
Do you have some?
I can probably go pick some up tomorrow. See if we can get
so Pete's got 25 of the 975 results.
975 entries into the new product showcase. So just looking and let's not play that video. I just wanted to see a picture of it. It did not show me a picture. So Yeah, you can go to Icast, just Google Icast 2024. I'll link it in the description. You can look at the new product showcase and kind of see everything. Like Ben's talking about, all the different bags, reel bags, scent injectors. There's whatever that thing is, adjustable universal wrist lanyard, I guess, so you don't drop your rod in the water. There's a de-hooker venting tool, live scope mounts. Like, oh man, that'll set somebody off.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of cool stuff. I'm actually just looking for that cooler thing you're talking about because I really want to see. Well, there's another oxygen system I saw, CUDA oxygen enrichment system.
Yep.
So it looked pretty pricey, but gave you some options. So obviously, people are understanding how important that oxygenated water is for their fish care. There's even another one, the Angler oxygen enrichment system.
I forget which one. One of them I went over. It was pretty bulky, the system. I don't remember which one. The hose, whatever that hose went into. Not the thing that goes in the live well that aerates the water, provides oxygen, but
there's
the rest of the system
sonar enhancement spray, forward-facing sonar spray. That Titan landing net looks super nice from AFTCO.
Yeah,
that one caught my eye, but it's probably a little bit more than I'll ever spend on a net. But yeah, there's some really cool stuff on there. Different types of holsters for your scales on your boat. For your live bait guys, there's a bunch of different bait buckets and stuff. Done a bunch of ice fishing stuff, which I don't remember really seeing a lot of the last few years that I've been down there. So that's cool.
Yep. And Humminbird
has Bubba. Go ahead.
Humminbird came out with their ice fishing 360, I think is what it is.
Oh, wow. Nice. I didn't see that one. See, Rapala has a scale that looks similar to a Bubba, more digital, like front face like that. So lots of stuff in the accessories. So go check that out. I'm about over. Oh, look, there's bobbers for your bobber guy, or those popping corks for your saltwater guys. There's a ton of really, really cool stuff in there. So definitely go check that out. This is that phone holder. Trey needs that because he knows drop the phone in the water on Sunday.
Yeah. So, hey Ben, I was going to ask you. Hobie has their new floating series. What is it? The Eddy frame.
Yeah, it's the Eddy.
Yeah, you said you got your hands on it a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about that new series, that new lineup that they have going on?
Yeah, so I just the video here. I'm pulling it up here as I talk about it, but I just picked them up and looked them over real closely. Floating frame, definitely a stylish cut to me. And so what I mean by that is it doesn't have the frame on the bottom side of the glass. So
okay.
I'm sure we can put a picture up here, but I mean, this is the lifestyle glasses, but like this down here. So they're cut more like your fishing glasses, but the bottom part of the frame, just there's no frame there.
So more like what were they? The old Oakleys that all the baseball players wore that didn't have the bottom of the frame. Yeah,
exactly. And they float. They're super nice. And so I just I picked them up and looked them real closely when out there on the water on Tuesday. But they're good. I liked it. And then
I'm looking at the line right now and like everything's micro braid, panfish braid, like
there's a lot of
so you can definitely see the trend this year, like Ben had talked about. Berkeley has one just called forward braid for forward facing sonar. Like that was definitely the trend this year was the jig head minnow. The last few years it's been big baits. And I feel like we called that, did we not? So we talked about that in previous episodes, and I think we talked about it last year. Like, everything is going big or really, really small, and we're still seeing that trend go on. And I'm glad you just brought this up right here too, Pete, because I wanted to ask Ben about this. They also have new vessels that are promoted at Icast, right?
Yes, they've got several watercraft. Now, most of them are they're kayaks or they're kind of inflatable kayaks, but there's a new aluminum boat that was launched this year. It's the Helios.
I'm actually looking at it right now.
And the one they put in the new product showcase is the F-15 competition boat. So it's fully loaded, fully decked out. And they had that one, but but then over in their booth, they have the 19-footer, kind of standard, and then also their 21-foot aluminum boat, and all spec'd out. So I will say they look really solid.
They ought to be for the price they're showing on this one.
Yeah. So let's talk about that.
So they have a Helios F19 comp tournament grade fishing boat in the new product showcase. MSRP. Y'all ready for this? If you're not sitting down, please do. $92,500 for an aluminum boat, a 19-foot aluminum boat
with a 175.
With a 175 on the back.
$92,000.
So, Ben, do you think it's a $92,000 boat?
For me, no. It's still too to me. It's still too narrow up front for what I like. I like big fishing decks, platforms, and stuff, especially because I like fishing offshore. Sure, you can get a 19 or 21 foot version, and it's wider than most aluminum boats, but it's still narrower than your same length fiberglass boats for sure.
And I'm not bashing Helios as a company for anybody watching. Like, I'm sure they're going to be a small batch. Like, you're pretty much going to order a boat and they're going to build it for you, kind of like Gator Tracks, which is on the high end of aluminum, right?
Sure.
They're using 0.16 grade aluminum, so that's basically take two nickels, put them together, and that's about the thickness of that. So it's super thick aluminum. It's going to be a very well built boat, but probably out of the realm of reality for most people. And if I'm spending $92,000 on a boat, I promise you, it's not going to be an aluminum one with 175. That is me. That might be what you want, but
I think that same 19-footer base with like a 150, I think was 80 or 82, and then the base 21-footer I think started at like 86 maybe or 87. But that's that's just the base. That's not before you add anything to it. So
it looks like there's a bunch of kayaks released, some different ones. I did see one kayak that was absolutely monster. I don't remember who made it. Bonafide. That's right. It was Bonafide. I think it's like 32 feet long.
What?
No, it's giant. I mean, somebody made a post and said, new for 2024 Bonafide, what they call it, the Bonafide cardiac arrest, because that's what you're going to end up in if you try to paddle it more than 10 feet. It's designed for two people. I think it's close to 13 foot. It's wide. But you're seeing innovation in the kayak world, and it actually had a fair price. It was like almost a 13-foot boat. It was wider, I think, than the Hobie PAs, which are known for their width and stability. And I think it came in at like $2,200. Whereas like a Hobie, fully rigged PA14, like with the pedal drive and everything, is like $6,000.
Yeah, somewhere
around there. And again, great kayaks. My wife has one that she fishes derbies out of. I have not been in it yet. I probably need to do that. But so you're getting kind of the base. It doesn't have a pedal system because it's just too big. But it was pretty cool. And that's what I was hoping to see, because I kind of wanted to talk about it, but it didn't look like they entered it into the new product showcase.
And to be honest, I've been by their booth a couple times. Didn't seem like they had anything that big in there.
They may only have one, and they might have just shown it on socials or somewhere, because I've seen several pictures. Is that it? The XTR 130. Yeah, there it is. It's right here. So it's a 13. I'll give you the specs right now. The specs are
big.
I mean, it's big. So it's $27.99. But if you look at it, I mean, it is a monster. It is where are you at? 12 foot 7 inches. It is 40.5 inches wide. So it's 15 inches deep. So it'll sit on top. It weighs 155 pounds dry. 170 is what they're calling fully rigged. So I don't know what exactly fully rigged is. But it's a big boat, a big craft. It kind of looks like an aircraft carrier with that front deck like stepped up, your little landing pad there. This guy's got dual grafts and still room.
I will say
pretty cool.
What's really cool about the kayak world and coming down here is all the different accessories and batteries and motors and different ways that you can choose to rig out your kayak. I feel like in the boating world, I mean, yeah, we have a ton of accessories, but they're kind of limited to a certain area. You got your accessories for up front on your bow, and we've all got how you mount your graphs, at your console, and here and there. But like the kayaks, it just seems people can figure things so many different ways, trying to be efficient on the water for how they like to fish.
Yep.
There's some pretty cool stuff out there to how folks rig their boats.
I think we're getting to the point, right? Like you're talking $2,800 for that kayak, which is reasonable for what you're getting. But you're starting to see fully loaded kayaks at $20,000 plus. What was the one? Remember when we looked at it? It was like 22 grand.
It was like 22,
with dual graphs, motor, and everything. You're starting to get into the realm, and I'm starting to see more of the debate, like, what is kayak fishing? Is it going out there with the motor and all of this stuff, or is it a pedal and a paddle? You're creeping up on boat territory when you're talking an almost 13-foot boat that can hold two people standing up, 40-inch beam or width. Like, you know, you're going to start to see those debates more and more in the kayak world and those conversations. But it's cool to have options. You can obviously, for a lot cheaper than a boat, go rig that thing out and be set up to do a lot, you know.
I was just about to say, like, you know, with all the hype in the boat world, with how expensive electronics are, everything's expensive. What a great time to be a kayak manufacturer, because not only are they exceptionally cheaper than anything in the boat world, but now the opportunities on the tournament fishing side of the house have grown and are continuing to grow significantly. And people look at it and say, is this fiscally responsible to go out and buy a $92,500 19-foot aluminum boat, or can I go drop 15 G's on everything I need in a kayak world and enter a tournament and get the same result, probably with better payouts,
way better payouts,
way less
significantly
overhead,
lower
right?
entry fees.
And so I'm wondering if the kayak world is just going to continue to grow and it's going to hurt the boat side of the house.
When you look at local kayak derbies, right? Like they draw 50 kayaks, like usually it's like a $45 to $60 entry fee, and they're paying first place consistently like $1,500. You never see that in a 50 boat tournament. You're paying $120.
Yep.
And you might win what, $600 if somebody,
maybe.
So just depending on how they have their payout set up and how much they're pocketing. Like,
yep,
the payouts are better, the entry fees are lower. It's a little bit more work. Even with the motor, you're still, you know, it's a little bit more manual. So maybe some folks don't want to do that. You can get places that I can't get in a boat, and we get in some places that most people won't take their boats.
Yeah.
So it's unique. Looking back, I joke, but I'm halfway serious that I should have just dropped the money on a fully rigged out kayak and went that route versus the boat. But it's too much fun when we all get out on the water in 2 or 3 boats and all your buddies and or family and everybody's out there, and you can joke around. I know you can do it with a kayak too, but you know, I wouldn't have got to see Trey take a tungsten to the eye if we were in kayaks, and that was worth the price of admission anyway.
But if we were in a 2-person kayak, you might have.
Could you imagine you and me in a 2-person kayak?
No,
exactly.
I mean, yes, but no. But you know that, and we talk about price points and things like that. And you know, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day about, you know, forward-facing sonar, and the people talking about, like, you know, forward-facing sonar. Yeah, it's relatively inexpensive, but what it has done is, and Ben, maybe I don't know if you feel this on the jig side of the house, but there are certain bait companies that are hurting now because people aren't spending as much money on certain baits anymore because they're fully invested in forward-facing sonar style of baits, jig head minnows, jerk baits, things like that. Deep crank baits, frogs, jigs, and other companies are hurting a little bit. Is that something you're seeing from your perspective with technology hurting some bait companies and helping other bait companies?
I think it's too hard to tell if it's really that much of an impact because, number one, we have to keep in mind as much focus is on live sonar and tournaments, like that's a small fraction of the industry.
That's right.
Most people who still go bass fish do not have live scope.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of guys who tournament, you know, at the club or even regional levels that still don't have it. Now it's not like
Yeah.
it was 5 years ago, and maybe one person in a club would have it, but
Mhm.
there's still a lot who don't.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people who do that traditional fishing. And
Mhm.
more importantly, though, I think people are starting to realize, especially over this last year, that you can still use live sonar and use a big old jig in 30 foot of water and slay them. Like you can use your traditional baits
Yeah.
to still target them. And so I actually think that might be the next wave, is that you start seeing guys using big crankbaits, big bladed jigs out using live scope, because it's different, because they've all seen jig head minnows a million times now. So I think that might be the next wave. You start seeing more power live scope fishing.
Yeah, I don't think that the companies are seeing sales impacts because of forward-facing sonar. I think they're using it as an excuse to why their sales are down. I think it's just the economy at this point. You know, through COVID, the last few years, myself, everybody I know was spending a way more on tackle, right? Like I was placing $100 order every week. It felt like on stuff, and now it's like every 3 weeks, every month, not nearly as much. And that's not just me. That's everybody as a whole. You're seeing less. You know, instead of I would go find a crankbait color at work and buy 4 of them. Well, now I'm only buying 2 because the crankbait's $6 more than it was a year or 2 ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really what is impacting them. But to what Trey's saying, I think because forward-facing sonar is such a hot topic, it's an easy blame. Just saying, well, everybody's buying forward-facing sonar bait, so they're not buying my frog, whatever, insert bait here. Instead of just saying, hey, the American people are hurting in general with the economy, and they're just not spending as much, right? Like, we don't have the same amount of disposable income as we had even last year at this time.
It's a double whammy right now, because that's a big part of it, and the industry is getting hit with that. I mean, the whole country is, right. But
it's not just fishing; it's everything.
Yeah, but the fishing industry in particular is still reeling from the post-COVID supply glut, and they're trying. And so, long story short is, and I know we talked about it before, but when COVID hit, everyone went out and fished. We bought all the tackle, but a lot of people who went out fishing never fished before. They hadn't fished in years, and so they would be buying what we would consider loader and stuff, right? Rod and reel combos, at Dick's, Bass Pro, Walmart, that type of thing, right? Things that all go catch fish. And now we tell people, if you want to get into the sport, that's go pick one of those up, because then you can figure out whether or not it's for you. Mm-hmm. Well, the company still had a lot of that stuff, and so they ordered a bunch of that, like that level of stuff. And then everyone went back to work, and they've had a lot of issues and closeouts and sellouts, and on top of that, a lot of consolidation was done that was financed on variable rates that have now spiked. And so financial pressures, like from the corporate world, especially with a lot of these big conglomerate companies, and now hit with the inflation and slowing of the consumer spending, it's just, I think everyone's going to be okay, honestly. Talking down here, I think most people will come through. It's just going to be a lot of budgets for R&D and marketing is going to be cut over the next couple of years.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on that hour mark, and I will say that this is the first year in several years that I didn't see a bait that I was like, yep, I need to order some of those. So, wasn't anything super exciting this year. We grabbed a couple credges, Trey and I, one day when we were out on a trip to Bass Pro or something, because they had them. So I haven't even thrown mine yet. I think Trey's thrown it a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. I am definitely going to pick up some of those Cast King bait capsules, because I'm tired of my rod locker being a tangled mess, and that'll help with that. But other than that, I mean, there wasn't anything that I saw that I was like, I really want to save and push to grab that. I don't know. What did you see?
The only thing I would like to talk about was that the Chinese company, Live Sonar.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a minute.
They don't have the price, and I didn't ask, but I'm assuming it's going to be a lot cheaper than. So basically, it's a company called Acuphy. I think is how you pronounce it. It's ACCUPY, UPHY, and basically, it's a live sonar system with a transducer, and that transducer you can either hardwire it in to an iPhone, an iPad, a laptop, or they've got basically where it attaches to a Bluetooth connector, and it will send that signal to your iPad. So it's not, you don't have to have it physically hire it in. Now it's not connected to a graph or like any system, but most, like me, I don't really pin waypoints with LiveScope. I use my other systems, my down imaging and all that. But for someone who uses a kayak, for someone who has a John boat, or if they get to the point where they limit the number of transducers and you want to be able to move them around, I mean, that's an ability there. If there's a Wi-Fi connection between whatever you're viewing that on and the transducer, you can pick it up and move it wherever you want around the boat. So I thought that was.
I'm looking at it right now on their website.
It's probably going to be cheaper. If it had to be my guess, it's basically a knockoff version, but for someone who wants to get into it relatively inexpensively, or you want,
they're also selling, Ben. I don't know if they had it there, but they have a transducer that does side, down, and 2D imaging. Same concept.
There too.
It'll Wi-Fi to your iPad, iPhone, whatever. So I'll put that link down below just for you, so y'all can check it out. I know there's a lot of people who are like, I'm not buying Chinese-made stuff, but
I mean, the resolution's not going to be as good. It's not going to be as crisp. I mean, it's not going to be the same as a top.
Yeah, I could already hear like Trent Palmer right now saying, yeah, good luck with that clean power.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's an option, right? It's an option for those who, like you said, want to put it on different types of watercraft, or you want something to play around with. Because I always ask that question too before I really learned about like clean power and stuff like that. I was like, why do we always have these cables running through the boats that it takes 57 hours to get a cable from 4 feet from the back to the front, whatever. And it looks like they've developed something like that.
So the transducer is a straight up just Lowrance 3-in-1.
Oh, is it?
100%.
The mount plugs into. Yeah, it runs off. It pulls. I asked him. I think he said it pulls 5 watts.
Okay,
if I remember correctly, which isn't bad.
So options for people. Options are always good, and there's one that you might be able to just plug and play with equipment you already have. You don't need anything special. You want to go out and mess with live sonar, and like Ben was saying, it's probably going to be significantly cheaper than going out and buying a live.
It's not going to look as good, but
no, but
I mean, we got our like our buddy Ray Vaughn, who fishes electric boat tournaments. You know what I mean, on those smaller he fishes big bodies of water too. Like, he doesn't run a giant bass boat with all the electronics that we do, but he has scope and stuff like that, and it might be an option for derbies like that. Or heck, man,
what I thought was interesting, because my graph, and I think I don't know, I'd have to go back and check Garmin, but like, unless you buy the higher end graphs for Garmin, you can't screen record your live scope. Unless you get I forget the number ones, but like the Echo Map series, unless they upgrade it, you can't record the live portion. But like, if it's on an iPad, you just screen record that.
Yeah, that's true.
Super easy. So if you wanted to get, because most of the time when you see live scope footage, it's someone holding a camera over the screen. So yeah.
Well, my final question for you before we roll off, and then I'll turn it over to Pete, is going back to traditional. I know we've turned everything in traditional versus like forward-facing sonar fishing. That term.
It's just taggle.
Yeah. Was there any cool frogs that were released?
Not that off the top of my head. Now, they have a who came out, snagless frog, someone's calling it. Who was that? I'm looking at snagless frog.
I'm just curious because
I think they had something.
Okay.
Because I remember looking at it. I've seen a couple popping frogs. I'll be honest, I wasn't paying super close attention to frogs because I don't use them a whole lot. I know you guys use them way more than I do. But two, I can't remember seeing one in the new product showcase either. And
there's a freestyle frog, but that thing's going to be probably not that great.
But walking
just
around,
looking at the way it's designed.
Yeah, just curious about frogs, man. We love us.
There's like 300 different hover minnows out there, though.
Yeah.
There's a dragonfly nibs. There's that thing that's gonna get whacked. I'm not even gonna mention it because I don't want anybody else throwing it. No, it's the zoo wake from Snag Proof. That'll be a good one. It's like a little soft plastic swim bait, frog all in one to kind of swim right on
big
top.
old tadpole.
Yeah, so that'll be a good one.
Alex the Prop Gator. I did see that.
What was it?
The Prop Gator?
Alex the Prop Gator.
There it is right there. Yeah. It just came up right when you said it. It is a whopper plopper alligator sort of deal. I'm gonna get one.
That's pretty cool.
I want to get one just to play with it.
That's like a Father's Day gift.
I'm gonna get one to smash a giant on the road over river with it. What are you kidding? They got a Lunker Hunt came out with a mouse soft body.
Hey,
that'll get 8. So yeah, there wasn't a ton that I was excited about. I didn't really have any other questions for Ben down there.
No,
Ben, if you got anything for us?
No, I think that. I think we pretty much covered everything I want to talk about with the show so far. I mean, again, the best part is just coming down there and seeing everybody that we only can see, like I said, once, maybe twice a year, depending on if we go to the Classic and what other events. So,
yeah.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for breaking Icast 2024 down. We're definitely sad we couldn't be down there with you, but at least you got down there on everyone's behalf and said hi to all the friends and stuff like that. And hopefully we get you back here pretty soon so we can run this next episode. And like Ben said, if you're not registered for the giveaway, get registered. Send us that.
Details are in the description.
Details are in the description. So do that.
Make sure you do that. Appreciate y'all. Get entered in the giveaway. Icast 2024 is just about wrapped. It is when you're listening to this episode, so you can go check out all those products. They'll be hitting shelves sometime between now and Christmas, usually, if they're not already out. And help us continue to grow a culture of anglers helping anglers, one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.